Now, there's the issue of people who have surrendered their titles already to banks or hospitals, security,
yes,
or whatever. Those are referred to as third parties. You have to coordinate with them to allow for the surrender of that document to the Ministry of Lands for the new number and the new title to be issued.
Are the banks, hospitals, and other people listening? Good.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to my channel, and I'm with Solomon Wangwe. We're talking about owning land in Kenya, and the conversation you probably heard from somewhere over here, and you're wondering what does that mean? And it's it is a title conversion. It's not land conversion.
Yeah.
It's titles that are being converted. They're being digitized.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in our last video, and please watch it, I think what I appreciated is in the last sort of like 20 years, this country has come very far in a lot of things. It's how we apply for our certificate of good conduct. It's online. In fact, literally you go, you get fingerprinted and you're told, go away. It will be emailed to you. But remember the time we stood there until it came out and it was really printed on 500-gram Concra. No, sorry, it wasn't that. But it is how we applied for our PIN numbers. Logbooks were digitized. You know, passports, you know, and here we are, we're going to do it with land.
Yep.
A very emotive item in Kenya. Very highly emotive. And as we're coming to the end of our last video, I mean, we put out this big thing. This thing is called the what?
The Registry Index Map.
And if you cannot find the thing you are being sold or you say you own on this,
on the Registry Index Map, I often tell people this piece of paper, typically they come blue because that's how they print them.
Yes,
and
it's true.
If you want to make sure it's legit, it's stamped by the district surveyor and dated when they make a copy for you. It's a certified copy, not just a copy. Because I can make one.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? And ideally it should be accompanied by the receipt for the fee that you paid, the survey department for the copy.
Okay.
They generally run around 300 to 400 bobs, which is not much.
Yeah.
Mutation forms are slightly cheaper, about 200 shillings. But this document and the green card are way more important than your title deed.
What is a green card?
A green card is basically what gives birth to your title deed. In most cases, in many cases, it's a literal green manila card that sits in a file at the registry, and it contains all the details of a piece of land from when it was created. In some cases, as far back as 1963, 1952 for Nairobi, I've seen some, and it'll have all the history of ownership, changes, succession, loans borrowed against it, blah, 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 up to date. That green card is what gives birth to your title deed.
You know, I've always said there's nobody as important in government as the technocrats. You have just told me.
Yeah. So
because they keep precise records.
Very precise. And you can imagine the volumes of documents they have to keep track of, right? Which is why the digitization exercise is so important. And so, this and that green card are everything. Title deeds are like IDs or passports. You could lose it, you could have it replaced. There's certain procedures to follow.
Actually, yeah.
But as long as the green card is still at the file and you can find the property within the confines of the Registry Index Map, it's fine. The title deed, and I've actually done a series on this, and I titled it, was very controversial, but it's literally true, why the title deed is the most useless document in a land transaction. Because there are way more important documents. This one being one, the green card being the other.
Okay, but it's very important you hold on to that thing he just said before you're like, oh my God, what is he saying? Okay.
Right.
But so when we hear people saying things like, have you done a search? That's...
Right. Well, so there are two types of searches. One is for the title deed, a title search, which is what most people are familiar with. And that's fine, it's necessary, it's important. But even more important than the title search is a search on the green card. And what you do is you ask the registry for a certified copy of the green card that they have on the file. And if the details on that green card do not agree with the details on your title or the title search, then you have an issue. So I always recommend to people, do the title search first,
Okay.
have it out, and then get a certified copy of the green card after. Because then what you want to make sure you have is an independent corroboration of the same facts.
This is true.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Because if you ask for one before the
Yes.
other, it could
is
flag.
easy.
Yeah,
it could
like this
flag
person
something
is
else.
trying.
Yeah.
And there have been many cases of fraud around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in case you're just joining the conversation, you're like, why are those two having that conversation? It's probably going to be one of our most important conversations between now and the end of 2022, because this is how long this title conversion conversation is supposed to take, and it starts with Nairobi. Nairobi's already underway.
They've done 4 gazette notices for the title numbers slotted for conversion. But they started
When that
in April.
gazette notice comes out,
Yeah.
what should I look out for? I don't have land in Nairobi.
Well, first thing you can do is just go to the website, Ministry of Lands, lands.go.ke.
Is it? Yeah, okay.
And they will have the notification. The other thing the Cabinet Secretary will do, as is required by law, is she'll publish it in the Kenya Gazette notice and also in the dailies. Usually it's a Daily Nation or Standard newspaper for wider circulation.
Of course.
So you can reference all 3 if you need. And it'll publish the list, the conversion list, and the cadastral map reference numbers and the acreage relative to that number.
Okay.
So if your number appears, and there's details that are not in agreement with what you have, on record, then they also have a process for lodging complaints and raising concern for them to rectify or tell you what the deal is. And this is really where I feel there hasn't been enough public discourse about is what this exercise is going to unearth.
Okay, so sorry, I've just gotten onto the website, okay, and on the right-hand side it says notice on land title conversion 4th batch and then 3rd batch. I don't know where 1st batch is.
Yeah, those were in February. Batch 1 and 2 were released in February. Yeah.
So you can download the Gazette notice. It's actually here.
Yep.
So, the Ministry of Lands is on top of their game.
And
my job is to, if I own land in Nairobi, is to ensure that I look.
Yes. And see if your number's been published for conversion.
For conversion.
Yeah.
So and they're doing it by batches.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
In phases.
And in phases. So I'm thinking SMART starts with Nairobi because a great litmus test, isn't it?
Yeah. Because of density, for one.
Yes, density. There's so many
properties in one place. The variation, value.
Yeah, but also Nairobi is gangster land as well. So
no, it is. I mean, where you have the most value is where you have the crookedest things happening. But an important thing to mention about this exercise as well is one of the key reasons for doing it is to allow for unified valuation systems as well.
True.
Right? So issues around stamp duty payments, revenue collection, your annual rates and rents will also be reset at some point because we have
CS Karone, your website is very slow. It's not my Wi-Fi. I like to believe it's just that people are on. But downloading that Gazette notice has taken a moment.
Yeah, I tried to log on this morning and it said site unavailable.
Wow, that means you need more bandwidth.
Yeah.
And by the way, and Madam Karane, you haven't even gotten to Olekajedo County or Central or Coast. Buy bandwidth. You don't need procurement. Just buy it because you're going to need it. And there's nothing as awful as people saying,
right, because it only raises people's anxiety.
Yes, it does. Yeah, because I'm trying to get on now and I can't.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to leave the conversation open for questions. I think you should call him. And he's a consultant, okay? So please don't just send your Kenyans say, can we have tea? No. And then I want to understand when I have found my badge, I found the number, and I found my documents. So now I am ready. What do I do?
So now you have to take that leap of faith and step into action, because there will be a limited period of time for you to get this done, or else potentially you're sitting with a non-transactionable title, right?
Okay, so you can't just, twiddle your thumbs and say, carry on.
No, and I'm sure what they'll probably do, as with other exercises, they'll issue moratoriums.
There'll be an extension, yes.
But the sooner you do it, the better.
The better.
So once you're ready, and these instructions are on their website as well, you need to surrender, go to the office relevant to your location in your title registry. If you're in Nairobi, it's Ardhi House. And you will go with your original title deed, the current one, and your identification documents, so your ID and probably PIN certificate.
Yes.
You will hand those in, assuming that you're fine with the details they have published related to your old number and your new number. And you will hand those over physically and surrender the old title, and then they'll get on about producing your new title deed with the
Solomon!
Yeah, I mean, just like you did with your passport. Ideally, you surrendered your old passport and they gave you a new one.
They gave me a light blue one, yes.
Right.
I'm one of those people.
Right.
Please roll this away, because I need to explain what you're saying.
Yeah.
You are saying that when all things match up, I take this and I go to my relevant lands office.
Yep.
And I surrender it.
Yes. You hand it over. And
what do I get in return?
They'll probably give you some sort of receipt to say that they have received your title and it's signed and whatever. And with that, you can keep following up to see if yours is ready, if they haven't notified you. I think because this is part of the digitization process, long overdue, they'll probably send you an SMS telling you your title deed is ready, come and collect it. But
you have to surrender the old one.
You have to, yes. Now, there's the issue of people who have surrendered their titles already to banks or hospitals, security, or whatever. Those are referred to as third parties. You have to coordinate with them to allow for the surrender of that document to the Ministry of Lands for the new number and the new title to be issued.
Are the banks, hospitals, and other people listening? Good.
Yeah. It's your right. They cannot hold you back.
They can't hold you back.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and once again, and I think this is important, I would like to ask the CS to sit down with me, because, Solomon, and this you cannot handle. I remember back in the day, whether it was President Moi, even recently, President Uhuru, issuing titles. It's such a huge moment when a person gets this thing. You know, and you've seen people hold it and then they open it and then they check that their name is on it. But this red thing here,
with the seal,
it's everything. So when you ask, it's a highly emotional moment.
Rightfully
it's huge.
So, yeah.
It signifies that your sacrifice is not in vain, your dreams are valid, the dreams that you had for others, the dreams I've had for my children, the reason I have bought land.
Yeah.
So when you surrender this, a part of you dies until you can have something in exchange.
Until you can have it back,
Yes.
No, I completely get it. My first title deed was in Kenya. I celebrated for the same reason, because of what it signifies. It's a key. Without it, you can't borrow from a bank.
You can't do anything. You can't sell.
You can't hand over to your children in terms of succession. I mean, there's so many things wrapped up into this document. But I think it's also one of the main reasons there's been so much fraud around it.
Yes.
Because all people do is say clean title available, not understanding what's behind the title.
And what that means.
It's simply a token, just like your ID and your passport. It's a physical token for you to hold that represents something in the government's possession.
Yes.
And whatever it is the government has in possession is way more important than this document.
That's true.
Right? So
I hope you know that your passport belongs to the government.
Yes,
a lot of us also do it.
property.
It's government property. That's why sometimes you're asked to surrender it, depending on, what sort of person you've been.
Same with your driving license.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Some of us are sitting there, so you're squinting at me like, what do you mean? Sometimes it's important to understand.
Absolutely.
So this really is, you hold it in trust.
Yes, you are, and you pass it along in trust.
Yes.
Other people can hold it for you, like lawyers and whatnot. But what they'll do basically, and this they do whenever you transfer, especially for freehold title deeds like these. When we sold to you, for instance, we surrendered the transfer forms or everything executed along with the original title that had our name on it.
Yes.
And they take it physically. They give you a receipt, a registration sheet, which is basically a receipt, and they punch holes on it. They deface it.
They deface it, like my blue passport. The only reason I still have my old one is that my American visa was there and my UK visa, and they were still valid.
They'll deface it in some form of or fashion. Either they'll write cancelled
on
or
it,
whatever.
Yeah.
Most of those that I've seen, they actually use punches to punch holes in it.
Yes.
And it goes in a file, the same file that has your green card.
Yes.
Right, and then they'll issue a brand spanking new one, fresh one.
Yeah.
Same details. Only thing changed was the name.
Yes.
The owner of record.
Yeah.
So in this instance, they'll probably do the same. When you surrender your title, they'll deface it, keep it in file. They'll issue your new title deed with a new numbering system.
But, and I can tell people say, don't let him go questions. Ask questions below. If he feels like it, he'll come back. Of course, he'll come back. But remember, the person I really, 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 really want is the CS to talk to. This is good for us because?
Many reasons. First of all, again, the point is to unify the country's titling referencing system.
Okay.
There's too many dating back to independence.
Okay.
Which has created room for fraud
and madness.
When you're transferring, the due diligence you have to do going back takes too long, which is why registration can take up to 72 days.
Right.
There's one transaction now we've been trying to register since beginning of last year. Fine, there was COVID, 6 months of closure. Still, it's been 10 months. We're still waiting for the title to get registered at the RD house, right? So these are going to be some of the benefits of this exercise. Unified numbering system. Probably based on the numbering system, you'll be able to tell what part of the country this property is in. It'll be easier to do due diligence, especially with digitization.
Yes.
Of the records, right? You can do searches online.
Yeah, true.
As opposed to going to a physical place. The other benefit is because they are doing away with the mutation forms and whatnot, everything's going to be based on the registry index map, which will kill a lot of fraud.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because then everything has to be traced to this document, which is far more important than deed plans or mutation. So distinction, deed plans generally work for leasehold properties. For freehold lands, you have mutation forms. Same thing, different name, but now everything will be under the registry index map.
And I think what I want to leave us with, because I'm sorry it's going to be a cliffhanger, is there'll be pushback. And I don't mind going on record to say this. The people who thrive in the chaos will be pushing back the hardest.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I know I mentioned it earlier, one of the things that's not being spoken about really, and this is why they have mechanisms for dispute resolution, is a lot of dirty things that have happened in the past will get flagged now.
Yes, I know.
Because if your property is not on the RIM,
yes,
you're not getting a new title deed. Wow. Or it has to be fixed.
Yes.
And let me just say, because I know a lot of people have land that they've bought, they've invested in, that may not be on the registry index map. You know, this map, for instance, as a quick example, this is for Imbuko. You'll notice a lot of the big chunks are still sort of unchanged.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. There's a few that show fragmentations within.
Yes, up there, yes.
99% of those are properties that we subdivided ourselves.
Okay.
Because we're very keen to follow the process all the way through.
All right.
To have, and it's usually the last thing they do, is update the registry index map. Now, it takes long. Sometimes there's corruption involved. People don't want to deal with that. The registrar has to write a letter after signing off on your mutation form before the guys at survey can update it for good reason. So a lot of people don't finish because they have their title deed anyway.
Oh!
Right?
Uh-huh.
And so what you'll find, for example, this block of land might already have been subdivided 800 times by now, but they never updated the registry index map. So, this process will flag a lot of halfway done things,
yes,
which will inconvenience a lot of people.
But
it's important. Now they'll be forced to update them, which is great, because this is what goes into the digital filing system.
Okay.
And then there's those who just bought shoddy things or
like
got conned and didn't know, they paid for air. Those will also get flagged. So it's going to be a painful process for some people, but it's good for the country, it's good for our economy, and it should have been done.
It's good for our economy because when you hold a title, it finally is.
It means something.
It means something. It's legit.
Absolutely. There's no questions about its legitimacy, which generally increases value.
Yes.
Because it's
That's
more
very
trustworthy.
Important. Yes.
Banks are more comfortable
taking it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
In Kenya, traditionally, banks don't like to touch agricultural ancestral lands.
Yeah.
I think
who needs that headache?
Yeah. I think this process will open up that untapped segment, which will be great for people who are holding on to ancestral lands that they will never sell, but they can leverage against to add more value, develop their homes, whatever the case may be. So overall, it's going to be awesome for Kenya.
But the journey to there
is going to be bumpy. A few people will be left hanging.
Yeah.
But
this is how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not even going to say goodbye. I'm going to say ask questions. I will figure out with Solomon whether he can answer some of them or just ask the CS, because she is truly, at the end of the day, the final say.
She is the authority.
She's the authority to come and answer them. And because you'll have asked them, she'll have prepared all her answers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm just a random guy who sells land through the structures allowed in law. And we're happy to share our experiences and information that really should be free and public.
Yeah.
And I should also point out, no one should charge you anything for this.
This exercise.
It's absolutely free. The government's not charging anyone anything for this.
You needed to know that, didn't you?
Yeah, don't pay.
There was a groan across the country.
Right? And so, we're happy to share the information, but please, if you have confusion about it, talk to a bona fide, duly licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya, who deals with conveyancing or commercial law to advise you. If you don't have the time to look into it yourself, and check on the ministry's website itself. There's tons of great information, and people just never bother to look.
Madam Caron, it still won't open. You must buy bandwidth, because things will only get worse when this video goes up, like now. Thank you, Solomon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So there you got it. Subscribe and come back.